Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's time for another one of our presentations called Friday Night Spiritual Insights with Michael Mirdad. So God bless you and thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about something that everybody deals with at one time or another in their life, and that is the difference between privacy and secrecy. They kind of sound the same. The two of these, they sound similar, and in some ways they are similar in that and yet there's a huge distinct difference, mind you. But privacy can be seen as something that is respectful towards ourselves or others. It's like, hey, listen, let's keep this as a privacy. It's kind of like, out of respect, I would like to, honor your privacy, which I'll get into the more details as I go here. But secrecy is different. Secrets are usually something that have to do with causing a harm to ourselves or others. It's a secret, a family secret that hurts ourselves or that hurts the other people in our family or others for that matter. A lot of us grew up with secrets, and family might have even said, it's just a private matter, honey. We don't tell people. But if it was harm-based, somebody molested somebody, or daddy's an alcoholic and we don't want to talk about it, that's a tricky one, because if you go and out that to your neighbors, let's say, my dad, he drinks too much, he's passed out all the time, I don't know what to do, I'm embarrassed, I'm 10 years old, and I have to make sure that I shut the stove off because mom passed out again. Oh, it's a fine line, because there's harm related, so I think that's called a secret. Now, secret in its original form comes from the sacred word, the same word as sacred, secret. But what I'm saying is that it got turned into secrets, like we don't tell anybody about these naughty things. So it kind of got turned into a negative. For this context, I'm comparing privacy as being something a little more professional, a little more caring, honoring for the greater good. And the greater good does come into this. So secrets are usually something, like I said, that has to do with harm. Privacy isn't the same because it tends to involve, secrets involve hiding. Whether it's conscious or unconscious, it involves hiding things. And that's not at all what we're trying to achieve with privacy. And I'll give a couple of examples as they come to me that'll be very vivid, because again, if you are someone that was raised around addiction, it's almost guaranteed that you were raised in a household of secrets. Now, I didn't come from a household of addiction. No drinking, smoking, strangely enough. Very unhealthy household, I think. But there were tons of secrets. Everything was a secret in our household. No addictions, but still secrets. But if you grew up in a household with addiction, almost guaranteed, if you've done 12-step work, they'll tell you that it's there's a great saying that I've shared many times in the program. We are as sick as our secrets. God, that is just mind-bogglingly beautiful. What is it you cannot tell, and why? Now, if someone has confided something in me, a client or something, and you ask me, oh, so, what's going on? I'm going to honor their privacy. That's different. To me, that's a beautiful thing to honor, someone's privacy. If there's something I don't want to tell you about myself, is it because it's a private matter? It might be. Most people that will not talk about themselves, it's because they have personal secrets. Rarely is it personal privacies, but if you're not sure which one you have towards yourself, you might ask yourself, when it comes time to share it, talk about it or whatever, why is there any hesitation to talk about it? If you don't mind, my asking, ask yourself, why is, well, it's just because it's something that's private. When you see the defensiveness come up and the excuses, you might want to think it through. One thing I learned, and nobody taught this to me, as a spiritual teacher, one of my challenges was that there was no training program for it. I've been doing this since I was 20. And there was nobody to train. Here's how to be a spiritual teacher. Here's what to do, not do, So I had the fortune or misfortune, depending on how you look at it, of learning by doing the process and guidance and so forth, which doesn't always match the third dimensional world's guidance. But for me, I came from a house, constantly secrets, constant. I mean, there was family members that changed their name, and there's reasons why, but nobody knows. There's an uncle who was a bootlegger. There's which to them was a funny thing, and they come from the old school where you don't like the police, you don't like authority figures, that sort of thing, and so you rebel, or and I don't mean because they weren't into like external forms of rebellion. It was just this constant feeling and vibe that I saw a lot in the family, culturally and whatever else. But it wasn't until I was almost 20, somewhere 18-ish or so, that one day my dad introduced me to somebody and said, "This is my brother, his brother," and I'm like, okay. I mean, and it's like, but nobody knew about this brother. He was sort of sent away when he was a young man, kicked out of the family because he was a troublemaker or whatever. Kicked out when he was maybe a teen, and this was like the first meeting of him and it was only, I think, my dad and one or two people that met him. Nobody discussed it. Nobody said, "Where's our brother? Where's our son?" It wasn't allowed. And that's another thing that's secret, is it's not allowed to discuss it. Privacy, I'm choosing not to, because it's not the right thing to do. It's an integrity. Secrecy is you're bound, and it's a negative thing. So the two sound similar, especially since they both involve not openly sharing certain things. So for me, growing up as a spiritual teacher, I just feel like I mostly had it on the ball all along. I really did. Some deviations, but I just felt guided most of my life. So I didn't make major changes in my beliefs. I didn't go from being this type to that type of person. Generally had certain feelings and guidance. But one thing that evolved in me was brought up with the secrets. Then secondly, I then thought that was the way it is. Then gradually realizing the harm secrets caused. Then being basically challenged, and the same as for you, just as for me. It's not just for me, and it wasn't just for spiritual teachers, for all of us to challenge all of our programs. Not to fight them, defeat them, but to at least question them. So there was a point where somebody asks me a question, and it's like, oh, wow. What is it in me that's saying, shh, shh, you're not allowed? I questioned it and realized this thing would seem to have power that I'm not going to give it anymore. So I answered the question. There it is. It's in the open. I did a talk at Unity of Sedona called Bring Everything to the Light. You might want to check that out. Because it's like, here it is. A phrase of Yogananda. Just imagine opening yourself up to God and saying, here I am. And see if there's any kind of odd, reactions, defenses, or whatever. It's kind of cool. Do I have any shames, any place that, like A Course in Miracles puts it, it says, don't leave any rock left unturned. Don't have any places, they call it shadow self. Why? Why does it have to be a shadow? Why not just bring light to it and let it shine? If it's real, if it's important, it'll shine. If it's not, the light will make it disappear. The darkness, the shadow, whatever, the blind spot will disappear. So it's a different way to look at it for some people. But for me, I just came out more and more. And, if people say, there's some videos I did where people are asking, Are you gay? Are you straight? Are you married? Are you not married? Do you have children? You know? And to me, it was like, there's an initial, well, that's private stuff. But I also asked myself, does it need to be private? You know, and there's pros and cons to that when you're a public figure and you say, well, look, okay, so married and divorced, you're going to get some judgment on that. Why are you divorced? You're gay, you're straight. Oh, you're not this, you're that, you're whatever, you reveal, there's going to be some backlash to it. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Are there things I don't want backlash? And then why are you afraid of that? Something to consider. So with secrets, it's about hiding the fact that you're hurting yourself or others. That's what secrets are about. Let's not tell anybody, because now you may not be the perpetrator, but you are an accomplice when you go along with the secrets, the hurtful things that you don't want to tell anybody. And if you're a counselor, of course, you're even going to have those moments where you hear something and you wonder if you should out somebody, but with privacy, it's an act of discretion. So as a counselor, you can use discretion, respect, mature agreements. There was this advanced counselor training back in the 90s, I remember. And the facilitators had been doing this really advanced techniques in counseling, therapy for only highly evolved counselors, people that have been doing it for a lot of years. And it's interesting, there were a couple facilitators that pitched in to do this. And then a couple days into this week-long training or whatever, a couple of the facilitators said, we would like to share something with everybody. The two of us felt an attraction and we chose to be intimate. And, it's cool to watch. We chose to have an intimate relationship. You have somebody, oh my God, and their heads just take off. And then there's other people, wow, so vulnerable of you to share that. Others are like, well, good for you. But whatever their reaction, it's theirs. Their issues, their buttons being pushed. So I admired them, but I also learned something from that. That's what maturity looks like. They could have kept it a secret, but it would have only been a secret if it was naughty in their minds. They could have kept it private, which is not naughty, but they could have just chosen, this is our business. It really isn't theirs. And that's true. But they also had another choice, which is also righteous, which was, let's just out it. Now their outing it could have been what? Boastful, odd in that way. Or it could have been just a way of saying, as an example, let's just show sincerity, honesty, vulnerability. And I think that was their intention, and that's how it came across. A couple people got a little triggered, but for the most part, it was beautiful. And from that, I realized, wow, I didn't choose to be in my life or on tour and say, this is an intimate friend of mine. This is an intimate friend, not at all. And issues of mine that involved other people, I kept private because it involved other people. So I didn't feel appropriate, like to talk about a trauma a child went through of mine or a partner of mine or whatever. It was only after, probably 20 years after things went on, that I was able to kind of out some of these things. Very, very healing for the soul of mine to say, here this is. And also because nobody would know who these people are. There very few people would have ever had met my children, and so on. So it felt generalized enough to where I don't think, my kids or my ex would get offended by it. And it's not a secret. Secret would mean I'm not going to tell them. If they were to ever say, have you ever told anybody? I'd say yes, because it's not a secret, nor was it even private. It just never came up in a conversation between me and them. So you got to get to that place of discretion. So to me, privacy is discretion. It's respect, but it's also mutual agreement. Like, you're going to be an intimate friend of mine. I want to know where we stand. If we're intimate, is this public? Just tell me. If we agree that it's public, then it's public. If we agree it's not, then it's not. I'll try to honor that agreement. It's the same to me as when you agree to be sexual and you agree to practice safe sex. You do, and then somebody doesn't and breaks the rules and puts the other at risk. It's not appropriate nor mature. So to me, it's like, where do we stand? And if you were to say, well, if I'm ever intimate, it has to involve a ring. It has to involve, I wear a shirt with your name on it, whatever. I would say, great. Thank you for telling me your parameters. Do those work for me? Do those not work for me? I'll make my decision and then go from there. But stick to the agreements as best you can. And to me, I've never been a kiss and tell kind of guy. In high school, rarely did I tell guys anything I was doing with anybody else. Rarely. I did. I know I must have a few times, but very rarely, comparatively speaking. It just never seemed appropriate somehow, even as a 17-year-old or whatever age it was. It just never seemed appropriate somehow. Not knowing cognitively why it didn't feel appropriate. Now I know why, for all kinds of reasons. Respect and not causing gossip and negative kind of attention towards somebody. So think about that. Think about agreements and keeping those agreements of privacy. Now, if somebody has an agreement of privacy, say two people, because I've worked with public figures, celebrities, and people like that, and they don't want their lives outed. So when two people come to me, and let's say they're public figures, and they're having issues that they don't want the public to know about, they share it with me, even if one is telling me and the other doesn't know. I don't mind. That seems like a secret, but it isn't. It's private because it's for the greater good, as far as I'm concerned. I don't say to them, well, if you're telling me these things, you have to go and tell your partner so that it's not a secret. No, it's privacy because it's the greater good. Them sharing this with me could be life-saving for their relationship or the person themselves. It's the greater good. That's how I see it. So with secrets, it's the other way around. It's hiding the fact that you're hurting yourself or others. Privacy is one way we can honor and maintain boundaries and or the boundaries of others, ourselves or others. People often ask whether or not something that they're private about is a secret. Michael, I'm holding this thought, but is it a secret? Is it wrong for me to do this? I say, look, I have confidentiality. That's privacy, not secrecy. It can be interpreted another way. I mean, it could. Someone could interpret something as being secret, but it's not. And I have to discern that. You have to discern that. I look at it and say, there are, professionals, there's confidentiality. But if you tell me something, it can be rolling down the road this way, and you tell me it could splinter off into secrets or privacy. How? An example would be like if a client tells me that they're planning to do something harmful towards themselves or someone else, and they're asking me to keep it a secret. That's a secret, obviously. You're planning harm, not good, greater good. You're planning harm, and you want me to keep it confidential. No. I might, if we're working on it to heal it, yes. But I have it in my contract with people when they sign up for a session that I'm going to do whatever I want with that information. I'm not bound by anything. I'm not bound by licensing of the three-dimensional world. I'm going to do the greater good. I'm going to do what God guides me to do. And if you tell me you're harming yourself, which even licensed counselors, of course, are supposed to report, but I'm going to look for the greater good. I'm not going to side with your ego. I'm not going to side with your money. You're paying me. No, not at all. And there have been times when you have reached out to me and something confidential, but I know that it's in your best interest to somehow bring that thing out. I don't go online and do something egotistically, you know. I know it's been said that there's a couple of TV personalities that are very popular therapists or counselors who, when the time was right, let the world know that they were counseling some of the biggest pop stars in the world. Very convenient for their own career to say, I'm counseling, you know, so and so. You know, then it became a scandal because it was a breach of their confidentiality and professionalism. Well, whether they did or didn't do that, all I'm saying is, for me, I'm going to go with the greater good, which means it's going to be slim chance that I'm going to keep a negative secret, but it could look like that. You can tell me, you know, I'm cheating on my partner or whatever, but I don't want them to know. Well, if you're going to continue cheating and you want me to be part of the secret, it's not likely I'm going to do so. It doesn't mean I'm going to call your partner. I'm just saying I might not participate with any more counseling. But if you tell me you're cheating and you want to look at the issue and you want to repair it, then I will keep it a private matter because it's going somewhere healthy. You want to tell me you want to keep it that way, you don't want to change it, you don't care about the harm it's causing, then it's a secret. I hope this makes sense because they're so similar in certain ways, they overlap, but so distinctly different when you really, really look at it. You want to tell me you want to work on it, then man, I'm totally in with you on that. I think it's great and I'll help you. And there are some really harsh things that people have confided to me, and I respected it as a private matter, even though it was kind of harsh, disgusting stuff sometimes. As long as we turn it into healing and you're going to leave that behind you, then I think that's pretty cool. Then I'm going to help. Now, this gets very, very tricky because if you also confide something, you know, Michael, I used to do a very hard drug, but I'm also now working at a company where they want nobody with that kind of history. I see that as privacy because you're not doing it to cause harm. They might find out, they might fire you. And if they asked my opinion, they might even say, why didn't you tell us? Because it was a private matter. They were healing it. That's how I feel about it. And I'm giving these examples over and over in variations because it's like that. There's little bits, fine-tuning bits. You know, if you are gay and you don't want people to know, I think that's private. That's your thing. You could be in a military. Once upon a time, it wasn't allowed to be gay. If you told me, I wouldn't say you did something wrong and you need to go and confess it and get kicked out of the military. No, I think it's private. Yeah, but the military said it was wrong. I don't care what the military says. I'm not going with conventionality. I'm going with what I know to be right. So I would not say you were doing something wrong by, you know, doing that. If you said you were gay and you didn't want your straight partner to know and you're secretly acting out gay, we need to talk because there's deception there. And that word deception gets very tricky here because technically you could say there's deception in private matters. If I have a friend and we're intimate friends and someone else comes to me and says, you know, hey, what do you think of that person? You seem like you would connect well. And I wonder, are you guys in a relationship? It's private. Now, if I say that's private, they're going to know. So what do? You know, it's my business. So I just say, I don't discuss any form of friendship with others because they don't. I only tell people I can do whatever I want. I could be a partner. I can do whatever I want to do because I have no, bind, to a certain thing in this world. I'm not in a certain kind of relationship. I'm not in any kind of a committed kind of a relationship. So I can share what I want, how I want with anybody or not at all. And I think that's how you can, in a way, justify if you would like to have intimate friendships or things you would want to keep private for various reasons. You don't want people to know you're gay or straight. You don't want them to know who you're dating or sleeping with or whatever. You have that right. I don't think you have the same right if you're in a committed partnership. Now it involves other people and it starts to lean towards secrets because there's someone that might be very adversely affected and you're keeping it a secret. There's even variations to that because I know clients who say, my wife is not capable of having sex anymore, and she's encouraged me to kind of go that way, find my own somewhere else. Now here you're married, but there's an agreement, so that allows it now to be privacy rather than secretive. It's just how many variations can we come up with? But there are lots. But there's just a general vibe. Some people wouldn't agree with any of this. Some people would agree with all of it. You kind of have to thine own self be true. If a client tells me that they're stealing money from someone or from a business and asking me to keep it a secret, it's a negative secret. It's not private. If they're continuing to do it, that's one thing. If they're telling me I did this once upon a time, I swiped money from a business, whether it was criminally or a minor or major level, but they're trying to apologize and make amends, but they don't want other people to know about it. To me, it's honorable. It's a moment of privacy. Yeah, but they did something wrong. I'm not going to judge that. They're asking for help to come out of it. So apologize and make amends, to me, is a huge thing. To help distinguish whether you're doing secrets or not. If you're not willing to apologize or you're not willing to make amends, you may be keeping a secret. Maybe. There are variations, but that's a general rule you might want to consider. So think about this, guys. Privacy, secrecy, one is positive, one's negative, generally speaking. There are variations, of course. Extenuating circumstances that sort of lean something one way or another. Something that generally might be inappropriate suddenly becomes okay in a special case. If someone told me, and I've had this happen where somebody told me they committed a major crime, I'm just going to work with them, and they likely are going to come to a place of healing, apology, and amends. But I also have seen it happen where people want to continue that behavior. And then I'm just not really interested in playing the games, because then you're giving negative attention to something. You're giving support and you're being hooked because it's a client, you make money, it's somebody that will badmouth you if you don't do it their way, and so on. You've got to choose your battles, guys. So privacy, but secrecy. Back to as I'm going to start closing, look at your life and ask yourself, where are there blind spots or black marks somewhere inside that you don't want light to shine onto? God, there's so many variations. Criminal things, there's shameful choices. Oh, I didn't want anybody to know, but I was married. And some of you have told me things like this. I was married 2 or 3 times, and it seems shameful. Some people have told me, I don't want anybody to know that I wasn't married. One of you said that just in the last months. I didn't want, because then I'll look like a failure. It's like, who told you that? I said to them. I wouldn't meet somebody who wasn't married and, but go there. Oh, you're 40 and haven't been married, huh? I wonder what's going on. Damaged goods. It's like, why hasn't this car sold on the lot? It's been on the lot for 3 years. Yeah, the car might have something going on. It might also had some other thing that was coincidental, so to speak. But also, that's a car, not a person. So don't put yourself in the same damaged goods labeling. But I've had people, I don't want people to know this or that. And, as a counselor and having worked with sacred sexuality, I don't have any areas that I'm not going to ask at some point or another. I've met people, and and I say things like, when that topic is up, where are you at with that topic? Sexuality. Where are you at with that? How do you feel about it? Well, this or that. Okay, cool. What's been your favorite experience? What's been your least favorite? Shames, non-shames, loves, non-loves. What partner of yours did you ever enjoy the most, and why? I'm talking about love as well as sex, and why? The more I get to know somebody, whether it's a client or a friend, the more I'd like to know about them. It's just a beautiful sharing experience, I think. But it also can happen where there's a point where there's a topic. Oh, don't go there. Some people it's multiple marriages. Another person it's an STD. To another person it's a one night stand or a rape. There's somebody that could be watching right now. I remember a couple of gentlemen that I worked with that were rapists, people that I've worked with just in the last few years, that did rape a woman, and they felt completely ashamed and disgusted with themselves. Now, if we don't talk about that, they don't bring that out, do you think they're going to heal by just sitting around in their homes feeling ashamed of it? They're going to destroy another woman or themselves. So I think it's incredible when they're sincere to be able to get that secret that is a secret out. And then once they can bring that out, not like reporting to the world, bring it out in some healthy way, it suddenly becomes a privacy, meaning it goes from a secret, I won't tell anybody because it's bad, to something that I will choose to tell some and not others, because I will use my own discretion, because it is a private matter now that it's healed. It's a secret when it's unhealed. It's private when it's healed. Now you get to use discretion. So I just think it's incredible. I've had friends that, open. And then there's a point where, no, not that topic. Well, why? What's going on? Because, and they kind of make reasons, excuses. Interesting. So to me, here's our relationship, whether it's as a client or a friend or a partner, expanding. And then when you say no, it stops there, which is great because I can now call us this. We're not this, we're just this. It's a metaphor. We're this type of closeness, trust, instead of this kind. Now, if you want to be like a life mate, there can't be any, because I'm not the type that would say, I'm looking for a life mate that'll fit into this. If it's life, then it's got to be life. Life mate, life topics, open. That's the way I feel about it. I'm not saying that's, for most people, but that's the way I feel about it. No limits, all the way in and out, through and through. But I know, and I understand some people have said to me, okay, that's the limit. This now becomes privacy, they'll call it. Well, then keep it. It's really going into secrets, but keep it, even if it's called privacy to you. We'll call it privacy, and we've now reached the furthest parameters of the relationship. So we're just friends instead of intimate friends. We're intimate friends instead of partners. We're partners instead of life mates. It'll decide how expansive the relationship is. So I hope this helps to some degree or another with your own discretions. Use this with your relations, but also use it for yourself to get an idea of where you need to put the brakes on, why, and was it because it was a secret, or was it a chosen privacy? Try not to impose your thoughts, beliefs onto others. The way I do it is try to be tactful and say, well, here's where we're at. What do you think? You can't force someone to open up. If they're hurting and they have to keep it a secret, or they're hurting it, if hurt is causing some amount of privacy and that's as far as they can go, you just have to respect that. In some cases in my life, there are people I've said, okay, so that's the end of this relationship. where it ended the relationship, which felt right for me, because I knew by the very test of the lack of further openness that the whole relationship would be a lie if we continued it, because they shut down on an area. And there's other times when somebody shut down and it didn't change love and respect or whatever for the person. In any case, it never did. But it wouldn't change that I'm still friends or close to them, you know. So you have to decide what feels right for you, what you can still do in that relationship if it's relating to others. If you're a counselor, you guys need to honor your laws, rules, licensing. But like I said, if you're a spiritual counselor, you don't have those same rules. You get to follow something else, which is, this feels right. Don't do anything wrong and justify it as feeling right, please. But it's all navigating this world. Secrets and privacies. If your family has secrets and you say, guys, we need to bring this out, and they vote by majority not to, you might need to exit that family. You can't force them all to out something, because if you did and they all hate you, what is the greater good there? You could say there is greater good because it's the right thing to do what you want. I don't see the payoff being positive enough if it's going to blow up with tons of people or going to be hurting rather than healing. If it blows and people heal, that's nice. Blows and they don't heal, they hate, then I've done harm and I don't want to do that. So I might have to take the hit and exit the scenario. Maybe announce why to see if that can help introduce change to that family. But if they're not interested, guys, they're not interested. So check it out. See where you stand. Do you have secrets that you cannot tell anyone? Then call it a hotline of anonymous people, you know, suicide hotlines or whatever it is. Chaplains at Unity or Science of Mind, you know, these kinds of churches. Call and ask for, you know, it's anonymous session, a healing. Write it on a piece of paper. That's pretty private. Write it on a piece of paper and then burn it, because you got it out. At least you could get it out of your soul. And then sometimes just speak it in prayer or to yourself. Walk around your house going, I cannot believe that such and such happened, and I'm not going to talk about it, but here I am talking about it. You're getting it out. Once you do that enough, you'll be able to write it. Once you write it enough, you'll be able to say it. Once you can say it or write it, you'll be able to share it with someone someday, and then more and more and more and more. There are things with probably my ex-wife from 30 years ago that I have shared with her since then. I wouldn't say something that would cause unnecessary harm, because that's not opening up like it sounds. I just need to be honest. That's a lie for most people. So-called radical honesty, blunt honesty, is usually selfish and hurtful. So I don't go, oh, listen, never liked your hair or whatever. That's just ridiculous. Never unnecessary harm should come from this. But if I ever was able to say, you know, but I really didn't like something, we didn't connect on a certain thing. If we're talking about it constructively, that's pretty cool to be able to say, yeah, I never said this. But my point is, can you just get it out, even if it's not shouldn't be at the person, but with the person? And if not them, can I just bring it out with a safe other? Guys, if you don't know the value of it, oh my God, it's so soul cleansing. God, to sponsors and counselors and, you know, people, safe others, we call it, to be able to say, God, you know, I never told anybody, but I once did this. If anybody comes to you with that, please always be tactful in hearing it. It might trigger you, and if it does to a point you can't handle it, then say, you know, this is kind of rubs up against some wounds for me, so I'm going to have to end the conversation. So you didn't shame me. Please do not shame people. Listen tactfully close it down if you must. But listen, because it's not personal. People are hurting. And when they say, I never told anybody, but, you know, I did do this and I did do that, or whatever it is. And listen, man, listen to them and just say, oh, wow, you know, can't believe you're able to share that. Thank you so much. Nice job. I don't know that, I've felt so trusted before. Say some things that help them go, oh, really? Really? So that they can bring out more. If all souls cleared themselves of negative secrets and only came back to a point of positive privacies, what a different world we would have. And then even privacies one day will not be necessary because only love and trust and truth will exist. And we won't even be doing things that we would be needing to be private about, let alone secretive about. All right. So do as you will, focus on love, take good care of yourself and and others around you if you need to or can. Listen to them and let the stuff come out as you can. But it's okay to have privacy. To me, privacy means I'm not going to cause unnecessary harm to anyone, so including myself. So this is a private matter. This is between consenting adults. This is between a client and counselor. This is between whatever the case may be. Okay? Thank you guys for listening. You be well, and hope you join us again another Friday or whatever else, wherever else. Join us. We also have a a Monday through Thursday. It's called Edenshire Live. Edenshire Live on Zoom. We have a free program, several hours every day of the week. Monday, that is Monday through Thursday. Used to be all 5 days, now 4 days. And here we have hosts sharing all day. I do an opening, I do a closing, but hosts all day talking, sharing about topics ranging from maybe privacy, secrets, addiction, healing, herbology, gems and stones, goddess development, and so on and so on. Fabulous. Different hosts, and it's free all day long, teaching the world. All kinds of great teachers sharing their time committed to teaching, sharing the world, sharing with the world, okay? Again, God bless. I appreciate your time. Be well. Bye-bye.